On a mission. On the other side of the world here, taking the 5 a.m. flight on Wednesday back to Berlin. Totally looking forward to that. But it's been fabulous coming back home. So, anyways, this is my home. You're my family here, of sorts. Welcome back. Artist Journal, February 17th, 2025. From a minus 39 degrees Celsius, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I am here. I am ready, and I am willing to continue this journey. What a fun journey it's been. And it's quite something, frankly, to be able to look at works like this. Oh, you know, it's just another day in the life out here. As I like to say, another day, another masterpiece. It may be slowing down my computer a little bit as I freeze here. Another day, another masterpiece. We're just used to this out here. And, you know, if you don't think of it within the digital art context, it's kind of fun to, where do you place this, right? Like, I'm always trying to, you know, think from other perspectives, from other contexts. You know, like what, again, if you're in the contemporary art scene, what do you make of this? And that's why, you know, to a certain degree, I do think of Alex Gray, right? The visionary artist, brilliant, brilliant artist. Especially, you know, the works from, I want to say, like the early 80s. Again, Theologue. And they have to be seen in person, Alex Gray's work. But that was kind of another artist who had really brilliant art. Especially, again, that work from the 80s. Almost, the words in my mouth, I'm not sure if they're the correct words, but almost genre-defining, you know, visionary art, paintings. It's tempting to call them that. You know, gracing the walls of hard rock cafes around the world to this day. Those that still go to hard rock cafes, you don't see them as much anymore, do you? Anyways, how do you categorize someone like Alex Gray, right? And the reason I mention this is because, in a weird way, we're kind of in similar territory. If you're coming from the context of the contemporary art scene, and just like the museum contemporary art scene doesn't even need to be contemporary, but from that scene, you see something like this, and you might go, it's kind of cool, but what is your reference? What is your reference point here? You know, again, like, and I mentioned Alex Gray because, of course, Alex Gray followed Marcelo Pinello. Marcelo Pinel, let's get Marcel's, who we've shown many times, Marcelo Pinel, who's, you know, followed Marcelo Pinel. I consider, and I've mentioned this several times here, I consider Marcelo Pinel, in a sense, the inheritor to a certain degree of the mantle of Alex Gray's mantle there. Just with the originality and everything. And that's not to say there aren't a million, you know, brilliant visionary artists, so to speak, psychedelic artists, however you want to put it. I think it's called visionary art, though, isn't it? It's not to say, and it's not something I really closely follow either, so it's not like I've seen everything. But for convenience, for shorthand, as I make notes here to myself publicly on where Marcelo Pinel stands, that's kind of how I read it within my own sort of script, so to speak. Interestingly, and we don't have time to go to Marcelo Pinel's other work, and this was put on Zora, by the way, interesting choice. Didn't seem to really, we'll look at the results. But just looking at the work itself, kind of has a bit of a different feel. For those that know Marcelo Pinel's work, it's almost kind of, what is the word? It's almost like when Gogolitis, with the color, kind of went from, oh, I'll do these two colors, to, oh, I'm expanding, to all of a sudden it became all the colors. And it almost developed a kind of chrome kind of look to it. You see a kind of a chrome look here, which I find super interesting. It almost creates, it's a kind of, you might call it like a branch of psychedelic coloring, but maybe I'm overstepping a little bit here. But it is a certain, like for me, it evokes a certain qualitative aura, for lack of a better term, this kind of chrome-like psychedelia, where it's not, and what is the difference? you think of Peter Max, for psychedelic art, it's super colorful. You think of those posters, the Grateful Dead posters from the late 60s of San Francisco, rock posters, rock festival, live at the Fillmore, whatever the case might be. And you think of those posters, and they were super saturated with bright, strong, colors, right? Interestingly, were there gradients? In certain cases, right? But the printing techniques limited to a certain degree how that operated. Of course, we have completely different limitations here in what I want to call a parallel medium to print and to the physical mediums of this digital medium. And back to the point about the color, this chromium color, here's just a little provocation here, almost 400 episodes in. Are we running out of stuff to talk about when you're talking about, is the chromium psychedelia kind of color scheme, so to speak, native to digital? Kind of a fun thought. I don't know if we should give too much time to that, but kind of a fun thought because I think it actually does help explain it. This color scheme. This isn't exactly a print color scheme, is kind of where I'm getting at here. Interestingly. So that is why I say it's kind of, because the other works by Marcelo Pinel, I would argue, they don't have the same kind of, generally speaking, to overgeneralize, they don't have the same kind of chrome-like qualities, I would argue. It seems to be going in a particular direction. It's called a Christa Aurea. This was on Zora. You can still mint it. Okay, so the show is not over. 300 minted. Considering what Marcelo Pinel could have gotten on Tezos, where he usually sells them for about 25 Tezos each, edition of 25, turns into about, I don't know, $450. Here, let's call it 20 cents times 300, 60. So it's interesting, just like the market side of it, as they say in German, immer. Always interesting here. So anyways, beautiful work and perfect for our headline here as we move through the newspaper of the imagination at full speed here. So thank you for the support and the comments here. Fun episode and discussion as ever. Oh, we heard from Kujib. Oh, yes, of course. Okay, let's start at the start here. 3DFY. At 3DFYI, thank you for sharing your soul with us. Sending love to you and yours. If the journal is the art, then this is as good as it gets. Thank you. Thank you, 3DFYI. And yeah, I did feel the need to say something. I'm fairly private on these things. But I felt, because I put the message out on Monday saying, hey, there's no show, have family business to take care of. I was kind of in a situation where I kind of had to say something. Otherwise, people think it's even worse, right? Or who knows? And just leave it up to the imagination. So, yes, so thank you for the thoughts, and thank you, everybody who sent me. I got a ton of messages on that, so thank you. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Static Drama, respect my man, keep strong, thank you. Kujib, also known as Struble Waffle, and that's one of my favorite works. You can probably get it, for the waffle collectors. This is a bit of a must-have in my estimation. This work on Rodeo, you could probably put in one of those, probably get it for $3 or something. So very sorry about your loss, Adrian. Wishing you and your family peace, resilience, and reflection. Stay gold. Thank you. And thank you for watching, and thank you for your awesome comments. It's awesome to have such an interesting artist, such a great artist, watching the show. Kanik Zapata. Awesome. Nuv art is so nice. When I think about collecting on Tezos, I do remember Nuv as that artist that makes my collection happier. Yes, Nuv is a special artist, as is Kanik Zapata. Nuv is a very special artist. There are so many special artists in this scene. And we're kind of going to return to that whole topic, actually, about kind of the funnel of perspective on, how, we'll get to it in a second. Thank you for the comment, Kanik Zapata. We have more works by you this episode. Fantastic artist. Phoebe's Fashion, my condolences. Thank you for writing, Phoebe. Great to hear from you. Right Click Dead, I love you. As I said here, the feeling is mutual, BD. So thank you, Brain Dead. Great to hear from you. Kelly Burns, sorry to hear about your dad, Adrian. I know how it is. He's in a better place for sure. Indeed. So it continues over here for all of us. Thanks got a nice 8,000 views. That's pretty good. And nice reaction here. Thank you for the support. Skull Takes We're on the same page about object.com and adding messaging of some kind. Many agree, and I brought it up in their Discord, so fingers crossed. My condolences. Thank you. Yes. In a sense, I've been calling it almost since the beginning of this show, 2.5 years ago. It's like a futuristic social network, right? Where instead of sharing your lunch or you on the beach and, running on the beach and looking great, instead, it's sharing the contents of your imagination and whatever you're producing. It's sharing your art. And in that respect, I'd say from a content perspective, it makes it more futuristic. And you have notifications, you have profiles, you can follow people. It's kind of like the missing link, because some people don't like X, right? And so it seems like I don't want to call it a missed opportunity, but an opportunity that would be missed if they didn't do it. And I can understand there's a lot of wisdom in the people that run Object. I would argue, like just as an outsider looking in, there's a lot of wisdom. You can see it in the design of the website. You can see it in the values, really, of the system. When everybody was throwing out royalties, they stuck with it. They haven't released a token, which increasingly looks like, as much as I might benefit as a huge collector and artist on the chain, in a sense, would it help Object's perception if their token was trading for 3 cents, right? From a PR perspective, how does that look? And maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe they'd give it utility. I don't know why, what I find weird, just very quickly, when an artist releases a meme token, but you can't buy their art with it, I do not understand that. Because it's kind of like, where's the value? And I guess it's a meme, and it's like, but like, if you're going to release a token as an artist, surely if there's anything you can do with that token, and it would actually give it value, you should be able to buy the art, or at least have a series that you can buy. So we're going to come up to this again, because it's kind of interesting tectonic movements in the crypto space. So Skull takes voting in favor of messaging. They have to do this. It's complicated. So that's why I say, there's probably wisdom in not doing it, because it's complicated messaging. But the opportunity is to have a pretty significant social network, which all of a sudden, what's that worth? Maybe then you release your token. Let's continue. Rosacho, so sorry to hear about your loss. Thank you. On a different note, one thing I always take away from your artist journal is don't overthink, just execute. And I've been following my own advice. I've been releasing several works a day, and I want to put out the Bitcoin video. It's tricky, and show note, I may not have a show on Wednesday. I leave at 5 a.m. So there's not going to be a show, realistically, on Wednesday. The Bitcoin show, maybe Thursday, I'll probably arrive in Berlin. You go against the clock. So I am trying to do it. It is a top priority. And the reason I mentioned the Bitcoin video is because that is what I've been doing. I've been really making 2 to 3 works a day, maybe sometimes 1 to 3 works, let's call it. And it's wonderful. It's liberating. And this is a very important principle as an artist. And it really, I would argue, my amateur version of myself would overthink everything, and everything has to be thought out like years in advance, practically. And to illustrate the point in concrete terms, when I used to make artworks, I would come up with the title first, okay, and then I had to make a work that justified the title. Talk about overthinking it, right? I mean, it's and so that's someone that was still needed to make a whole bunch more art to figure it out, so to speak. Let's continue before my computer breaks down. Thanks for the reminder. I really need to drill that into my mind. Indeed. I tend to overthink a lot. Indeed. Again, a shocking kind of way of thinking of this, very counterintuitive and shocking to my, younger self would be, in a sense, you want to keep the quality to a certain standard, but quantity, let's just call it is as important as quality. I would argue to overgeneralize. It's incredibly important to be prolific as an artist because, frankly, there's many ways of putting it. But it's sort of like Brian Tracy says of success. Success, and there was the older Brian Tracy at age 70, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, saying, studied success his whole life, the original life coach, Canadian, but kind of made it in the US, interestingly. And basically said I've studied success my whole life, and the conclusion I've come to is that it's largely statistical. The more things you try, the more likely you are to succeed or have success. And I would argue it's completely applicable to art making. The more works you make, the more masterpieces you're going to make. The more of those works are going to be, the more opportunity you're going to have to make great works. And as we all know, great works are not necessarily time dependent, right? So, so food for thought. Let's continue. Thank you for the comments, Rosaccio. We actually have a work by you this episode. Nicholas Dietrich. I hope you're doing okay, Adrian, at this difficult time. Very impressive to be doing journals now. Thank you. I totally agree this scene is the most exciting thing happening in art right now. Indeed it is. And in a weird way, it's not even close in my mind. That is how strong my conviction is. And there's so many good artists. Interestingly, I mean, here's Nicholas Dietrich. Hopefully the world will catch up one day, and it's quite interesting. Increasingly, I'm less concerned. I still would love that to happen, and I actually think it's inevitable. My conviction is so great, I think the art will speak for itself, and we'll have the final say. Thanks again. But I'm kind of not as concerned because I'm so convicted in it that I just don't even I just feel it's just a matter of time, and it could be in a year when all of a sudden, there's some sort of breakthrough of some kind from a PR perspective, or in 20 years, or in 100 years. I don't think it's going to take that long. So it could be this, bull market, so to speak. Anyways, let's continue. Thanks again for the thoughts. Nicholas Dietrich, yes, maybe catching up doesn't matter, but I had some extra info about an ordinals piece, but it was hidden on the last post. Excellent. I initially made 2 shows ago, Nicholas Dietrich, we started off with a work Nicholas Dietrich put on ordinals. In our kind of sci-fi discussion that we're having of this convergence of 3 trends in digital art, which is pixel art, which seems to work, which we could argue is a central genre of the second generation of digital art, which happens to work perfectly with Bitcoin because of the low file size required for pixel art. And interestingly, artists making their own tools. So as we start to see, say with Waffles, putting together a kind of a lo-fi export version of DPaint using DeepSeek. Pretty interesting. Let's see what Nicholas Dietrich said. I initially made the piece as small as reasonably possible at 198 by 198 pixels. But after realizing the fees were low right now, I actually upscaled it by a factor of 3 so it will fill my computer screen without having to zoom. Original 3 kilobytes finally... Wow, it was as little as 3 kilobytes. Finally, 33 kilobytes after upscaling it 3 times. $17 to inscribe. And this is basically what it is. It's about half, I think, when you put it at 1 VByte. And it actually ran out again this weekend. Bitcoin ran out of transactions again. So, yeah, I've been minting up a storm or inscribing up a storm. I am desperately trying to put this video together for you all. So it is the top priority here. Thank you all. Do we have more comments here? We do. Rural Idol, thank you for the comments. Lily Illo, thank you for the comments. I am doing good. I'm doing well. Thank you for the thoughts. Libroblock, thank you. Enigmatris, thank you. Actually, we have a work by Enigmatris this episode. Ile, thank you for the comments. Peter the Roman, thank you for the comments. Day late, buck short. Thank you. Tornado Rodriguez, awesome. Ed Woods, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, beautiful canvas there, Ed Woods. And thank you, everybody, for the comments here. This is rad. As I say here, the digital family here. Thank you, everybody, for the thoughts. Wonderful. Look at this all-star cast here. Thank you for watching. You brilliant people. Thank you for watching. Okay, so I mentioned I was going to come back to this comment from Nick just to look at some of the links that Nick had given. So Nick from Gamma posted a comment last episode saying, hey, there's art on Bitcoin. Here's some of what has been done. Natively digital art on Bitcoin. So this was a Sotheby's auction. I think done maybe in conjunction with Gamma on some level. So here, this is actually, in Vancouver, they have, this artist is actually pretty well known, I think, in the contemporary art scene. I think I brought this up. Yeah, so there's a big sculpture, actually, by Sunset Bay, I think it's called, or Sunset Beach in Vancouver, where there's a bunch of sculptures by this artist. A lot of you are familiar. So interesting. I don't know. You have to log in to view the results of the auction, but $3,000 to $5,000 or no loops. Jack Butcher. I think a lot of us have seen this kind of dollar bills. You can try opening this. Mia Forest Magnolia. A little bit of generative art. Interestingly, there's a Patrick Amadon. 2 colors here, right? So interesting. So here are some different works that are on Bitcoin. So Amber Vittoria, cool. So we've shown some of Amber's work here. So it has some work on Bitcoin, $6,000 to $8,000, incredible. So as you see here, Axstone, notable illustrator there, 2 colors, Neurocolor, interesting. So interesting, right? And here, we'll see if we can take a closer look. The Order of Satoshi, so kind of Bitcoin themed works, right? Kind of has a fantasy feeling to it. A little bit of dithering there. Interesting. I wonder how many kilobytes. Does it say? Condition report. Anyways, maybe you have to log in. Here is the Patrick Amadon. And, right, so interesting. I wonder how small this is. This looks like it's probably pretty small, interestingly. How do we know how? Yes, so 383 kilobytes, so pretty big work. Interestingly, to, again, mint that right now is probably like $170, which is pretty cheap for putting a 380 kilobyte file on Bitcoin. So again, that video is on the way. This was also linked from Nick from Gamma. This work here. So here's an inscription, kind of a cartoony type work. And here is also, this is the, let me bring you back here to, this is Pavel Dudko, is this generative artwork right here, which I do remember opening this up. So interesting. So what I say though is I still see a huge opportunity here. It looks incredibly early, so to speak, on the Bitcoin front. And as I say, visual poetry on Bitcoin, I just see a gigantic opportunity here. And so just kind of interesting. So thanks for sharing some of what's going on there, Nick. As I try and hurry before the light here comes and blinds me. Sonso.eth. I cannot roll my eyes any harder that this type of engagement farming, analysis, finding a theory independent of the small echo chamber that influences a space on the day-to-day is necessary if you're trying to have a long-term thesis about collecting digital art. Right, and so here's Roger Dickerman, or RD, Real Talk, People in Riffic Anadol are in a class of their own. Global digital art, X-copy is cult, spread is rising, Pakistan. So what we see here, I think to Sonso's point, is this is the thing. And I've been kind of dancing around this for 2.5 years. What I see going on, put it this way, the crypto scene has kind of, some people call it the cabal, whatever. The crypto scene has decided, similar to what we see in the trad art world, okay, we only need to pay attention to these 5 people, and these are the 5 people that matter, and everybody else, who cares, right? And I just would say, in my own mind, it increasingly has zero credibility in my own mind, and that's just my opinion. This, the crypto cultures understand, put it this way, a definition of who the stars are. I just don't believe any of it. And, MoMA's in this, on this too, with Rafik Anadol. So, yeah, I mean, that's just how I genuinely feel. It's, put it this way, you may be able to have a big sale, like all these artists. You can't buy credibility. You can't change the work by spending millions of dollars on it. So, yeah, I mean, because I can kind of sympathize here probably a lot with what Sonso is saying. Here we go again, people just trying to force a narrative, and at the expense of great art. Because there's all this art that we look at here daily, or 3 times a week now, that, where are they? And, so it's just anyways. And this is why I also wanted to mention Juan Pez. It was a very nice comment here, showing up in the journal as winning the lottery. Very nice. But this is what so thank you for the very generous comment, but this is what I wanted to say, to highlight here, and thank you for giving visibility to the emerging artists of Web3. In my mind, these are the artists. So we all come with our opinion. These are the artists, like in my world, and I'm just sharing my opinion and people can take it or leave it. I'm not trying to lord it on anybody. But these are the artists, and if the people selling for millions, like I would put them in the show if I was like, oh yeah, that looks, that's going to work great, but so I don't consider them emerging artists. These are the artists, and it's not going to be a comprehensive, complete view, but it is my general view, for what that's worth. Thank you for the comment. Beautiful comment. Brain Dead, kind of continuing the theme a little bit. Do not expect approval or appreciation. Instead, expect to get up in the morning so you can create more. So indeed, being an artist is making art. And so I feel like an artist when I'm making art. As I've mentioned before here, another great artist, Spiegels Maskinen. Yes, we are open. So as you see here, 64 by 64 pixel art display. Let's show even Apple Pay. So Spiegels with a beautiful store here. With nice music and everything. So nice ad for the store. Very cool. Here it is in real life. So very exciting stuff. Created with laytheme.com. Interesting. Never heard of that one. So nice website. New shop from Spiegels. Yada. Last night at Expo, we made Neutral Arts and Seed DAO, all made by friends and artists and friends working together in community. It feels very special to me to have carried out this event, and I feel very grateful. Share with so many incredible artists is really something magic. Nice display. Pretty nice display here. Pretty fun. It's like a very creative, beautiful version, I was going to say, of the Tezos, but way, way nicer and cooler. Anyways, cool work from Neutro there. Pale Kirill, AI makes art. So not exactly sure what's going on here, but machine mark making. Interesting video. Almost looks like a vacuum there. So interesting. Kind of takes the self-consciousness out of making a brush mark, doesn't it? But you still get the humanity, interestingly, of the physicality, right? Nice music, by the way. It kind of creates it's kind of a pretty cool video. Who made this? Pale Kirill, AI makes art. Very interesting video. As we dive into the works here, how are we doing? 27 minutes, excellent. Here's... Swozo. Love it. Life finds a way. Life will not be contained. So, just another beautiful addition of work. Test 1, 2, 3. We are back. Okay. This is it, folks. This is it. We have one take here, and we have 36 minutes till liftoff. Okay, awesome. So here is Hermeep pixel art. Awesome artist out of Tokyo, works across several mediums. Continuing on, here's also Hermeep doing a shoe. Interesting. Look at the top with this little duplication here. Very, very cool and very nice. Interesting move here as well. So Hermip, and look at this, another shoe, sneakers and black and white. So again, just really cool pixel art. I've actually done a sneaker. If you ever see me doing sneakers, I have done them before. Nice horizontal pixels here and vertical kind of ratioed pixels there. Interesting work. Element Lee, negative space. So more experimental pixel art here. Kind of looks like the entrance, almost looks like the arcades in Bologna, so to speak, or maybe a entrance to a church. Very, very cool negative space, cool work here. Macro-micro juxtaposition, interesting minimal work by Element Lee. Great pixel art. Here is Yuri J. This looks like a work in progress, maybe. They almost look like chickens with this beautiful kind of square-shaped brush. And yes, they are. And of course, I follow Yuri, so just gorgeous, gorgeous work here from Yuri J. And I'm not sure if we've ever looked at this one before, but really looking like a painting here, this work. You see the richness of the textures and that wonderful wall that doesn't seem to have a corner. And even that toilet, that beautiful toilet over there. So just gorgeous, gorgeous work from Yuri J. Here is Cider, with some cool transformations here, some great textures. Kind of looks like tennis. So someone stretched out, very cool. Almost looks like photography. Of course, Cider goes from digital to physical and back. So super interesting. Here's Rosetto. Really nice digital painting here, some collage. And here it kind of looks like a cat skateboarding or something. Cool combination. And cool just textures and everything all around. I guess that's from 2021. Posted on X. Piedras. Here is Nov 1914. New work. Interesting. Always a surprise here from Nov 1914. Almost like a palm tree where the palm leaves are falling over. Piedras 1, edition of 3 for 8 Tezos and 1 gone to Degi D. Still tearing up the blockchain. Nov 1914. Also, this is on Rodeo. So some interesting experiments here on Rodeo from Nov 1914. Pretty big file. 3 minted. You might be able to get your 1 of 1 if you get lucky here from Nov 1914 on Rodeo. So interesting. As Rodeo quiets down, there could be opportunities there. So cool work from Nov. Here's Dan Control, twins. So let's see what's going on here. And as you see, so more experimentation here from Dan Control, who looks like is going back to old elements, say the pigeon, and then making new compositions, interestingly, with kind of interesting novel effects here. So very interesting work. Edition of 10 for 15 Tezos, selling 1. Selling 1 so far. Here's another awesome work. These tend to do pretty well on Twitter. Combining elements from other artworks using his landscape here, the electronic cigarette, the Lego, the clouds, the pylons, the shoes, the lighter, the box, everything. So adding some shadows in there, hilariously. Cool work there. And here, what we see from Dan Control appears to be Tower, great title, playing with the new kind of outlines that Dan has been experimenting with to make a new work. So interesting work here, maybe changing the color in the background and then removing color at the bottom to just make it black. Here is Mumble Boy, Unspoken. So a cool, complex collage here. Quite a large file, again, digital and physical, from Mumble Boy, who's been making art since the 90s and really kind of playing with this experimental style here with these kind of abstracts and collage and everything. This is an edition of 4, and this is on Object. Here's L'Inquisiteur, dans la salle du bar tabac de la rue des Martyrs. Des Martyrs? Edition of 15, 3 Tezos, and let's see. That's pretty fun. I don't know if it's copyright. I assume they made the song. And I'm having mic issues, so I'm not going to... I love this, actually. The bartender falling over. Quite romantic, especially with the music, isn't it? 3 Tezos. Nice painting. Nice digital painting. Let's continue. Sky Goodman. Race Across Time and Space and Looking Good. Interesting piece from Sky Goodman here. Kind of looking a little bit like a video game. A little bit like something else, almost like CGI, not even sure. And then nice close up here, cool work. Edition of 1, sold to Absurdity for 10 Tezos, pretty reasonable sale. Edition of 1, here's Sabato, Revenge of the Real, 29, cool title. Going for 250 Tezos, available for 250 Tezos, 1 of 1. So some cool glitch ROMs from Sabato here. And let's see, this one was picked up by August Ground for 210 Tezos. The Interstate That Time Forgot. Cool title here as we see and experience kind of the dynamics of a video game but glitched out. Cool work there. And another 1 of 1, Leave Tonight or Live and Die This Way. This is an edition of 1 going to Daggy D for 250 Tezos. So cool work. Nice colors in this one. Kind of nice sunset here. So nice Sabato 1 of 1s. That's pretty exciting. Bosque Gracias and Andre Oliveira Cebola. Colorful Mess number 23. This is 12 Tezos at auction. I think still available at auction if you want to put in a bid. So nice work there. Here's Enigmatris with a nice almost painterly-like work with the ASCII covering the black ASCII, covering up things and a lot going on here. So just nice textured work. From Enigmatris. How's it doing? 6,000 views, pretty good. Let's continue. This is Kyle Flemmer with a new on-chain work, and I think this goes in the vending machine pixel art drop, which just started. So if you want to try and get this, it might still be inside the Tez vending machine. A cool shuttle here, International Space Station, booster rockets, pretty rad on-chain art from Kyle Flemmer. Here's Haiti Rocket. Edition of 420, so still available for 13 Tezos. Were they all burned? No. So now an edition of 1. So someone could have gotten the edition of 1. So edition of 1 from Haiti Rocket. Monkey C. You can always put in an offer for that and see if you can get it. Muji, Prismatic Entrance. And here is another kind of cool deluxe paint pixel artwork, kind of mystical feeling. Edition of 7 for 5 Tezos, 2 gone. Here is Cap'n with some works on Rodeo, 171 minted. So again, playing with dynamic and static pixels. Interesting kind of yellow theme to some of these works, especially this one. Cowboy number 15, 184 minted. Looks pretty great, doesn't it? So again, that static landscape and the dynamic sky and even just cool dynamism, cool kind of changes in the pixels as we see something kind of rising, almost like smoke rising from the landscape here. Cowboy number 16, also on Rodeo. And here, almost all still, except for this little horse over here. I love this. Beautiful work. Kind of a window into Cap'n's process a little bit there. You see when you see the still. Cowboy number 17, and here, kind of a different looking landscape here. Very vertical work, 177 minted. And here is Ms. Paint. This is on Object and a casino, and these tend to be moving a little bit. I think this one has a little bit of almost like snow-like texture. So of a casino GIF animation, 600 by 600, edition of 12 for 3 Tezos, pretty reasonable. Here's Ernesto Ash, new series Digital Entities 2. They live in a parallel dimension, shifting network data, algorithms, and self-evolving code. So cool work here, and as you see, kind of variations on the profile picture, or on a portrait. Here is Canik Zapata. Before we were hunter-gatherers, you see, we have been collecting since the beginning of time. The Lascaux Caves are the people of their time. And so look at these. Look at this. Look at this, whatever is going on here, where you'll probably only find, I mean, these are so unique, which is why I show them all. These are so unique, and just the contrast of, say, this figure with this texture, but it all kind of works. There's nothing like this, I would argue. The closest you can get is like Scamra, but because of this extra process of putting in the cellular automata, it really turns into something pretty far out. Here's another one from Canik Zapata, and these gorgeous paintings in the background. Again, people looking like they're in the studio. You almost see the white gloves or collectors. So this is edition of 11, 20, and the market loves it too. Here's another work, again, rich textures, not worrying about the output to a certain degree. Just accepting the output, and to great effect. It's quite interesting. When you get prolific, you start going, yeah, this is fine. You don't need to stop fixing everything, right? So very good. It's beautiful. Here's another work, edition of 11. Nice small work here. Make it a little larger. And so just beautiful. Nice kind of slightly different color scheme. We see the cellular automata there. Beautiful. Here's Time, also known as Santiago, Goblin Core Cathedral. This is an edition of 1 at 100 Tezos, and kind of looking like a slightly more textured work here. So just full of detail here. So very rich work. This is 100 Tezos on Object, 1 of 1. And here, Birds or Waves, also by Time or Santiago, 20 Tezos. And you can barely see it, but here it is. Up close. So cool drawing. Very cool. Looks fab. Huge, as Santiago is wont to do. Uran Yekon, stream number 16. I don't think we saw this stream. So another super rich textured screen here from Uran Yekon. Sky Above Clouds number 12. This is by Greg Nick-Shumika. I think this is like maybe an Excel spreadsheet work here. So kind of looking like from a plane, looking at the clouds. Very cool. Here is Bosque Gracias and Cibolander. So I think we were looking at some work by them earlier. Andre Oliveira Cebola. So this looks like a still pretty nice abstract. And here's Feels with a cool animated abstract here going across different rainbow colors and everything. All beautiful. Here is Ex Mortal. I think this is new on Solana 3 days ago. So here we are, another work on Solana. The last one sold, so wisely going where few people are going right now, over on exchange.art and making sales. So beautiful textures. Higashi Shiroishi. Solana people might especially appreciate that these days, with all of the meme token controversy. Interesting from Renki, as ever. Really cool, I think Japanese artist, if I'm not mistaken, edition of 1. And was it listed? Accepted offer of 30 Tezos. So you might be able to get a Renki 1 of 1 for pretty reasonable price here. Little cakes. So many half-baked ideas. You should be allowed to make anything new until I finish things I've started. Sweet dreams all. Yeah. I try and finish in one session now, if I can. Which is interesting. I mean, you can't do that with all your works, but with certain works, I realize, say, like I work on a pixel art sketchbook. A sketchbook is a sketchbook. So is what I realized, so just embrace the sketchbook. This is pretty cool, though. So again, kind of has Little Cake's name all over it. With almost like an ink cloud coming across the screen there. That looks almost finished, if not finished, Cakes. And that's the thing, most people might not even know. Lily Illo, good morning, beauty. So interesting experimentation here. This looks like more new Lily Illo work. Great color, too, by the way. These AI artists and the color. I mean, this is what's often lost from, the people who don't look at much AI art but have a strong opinion about it, like the color. It's very interesting. Remember Scommer's comment on the color using a negative prompt to get Scommer's super rich color. Anyway, this is Lily Illo. Another cool artwork, even the nice little writing there. Beautiful color. So do we have Milk Toast, maybe is the name. Here's No Hygiene, more wild AI art. This would be my Sotheby's auction for AI art. Or I think it's Christie's is putting it on. Super textured AI art here. And here is Scommer Lovebird. So again, we see these massively textured results here. Again, stable diffusion and negative prompting. And look, I love how the sky is slightly darker on top than the bottom. Nice touch. As we go into the physicals, my good friend, Cecine Paben, my good friend Ben out of Berlin here, it's really starting to go somewhere over here. 57. He does a lot of memes. I don't know the reference here, 57% lies, but it's looking pretty good, isn't it? So Ben continuing to do interesting work. Here's Machine. So we saw the beginning of this. We saw the kitten with the outlines last time. Here it's added with the pink and the headphones. Surely this is going to sell just on content alone, but beautiful looking work. This is what we saw last time. So beautiful work there from Machine. And here's Mary Lou Bell. This is super interesting. It almost looks like JPEG artifacts or some sort of compression that has been painted is sort of what this looks like here. Mary Lou Bell, courtesy of It's Not Gallery, the pioneering curators there on Instagram. Here is Maria Lundstrom, Studio Wednesday, another cool artist here on Instagram. I think has a pretty big following. Can't tell how many people are liking this, but maybe 54,000 followers. It's pretty good. So anyways, cool work from Maria Lundstrom. Here's actually another friend of mine, Maria Nadjanova, who's put out a couple of pretty good works, pretty awesome works here recently. Look at this one. Another really nice work here, artist in Berlin. Very nice work there. And here, courtesy of It's Not Gallery, is Kayla Mattis. I'm not sure if we've seen this one before, but whenever I see Kayla Mattis, awesome textiles, I have to show it. There's a captcha. Very fun, very cool, very... the humor, the new humor, as I like to call it, of the new kind of generation of artists. You see how the internet is influencing canvases, physical canvases. This is pretty cool, too. Jake Pliskin out of Brooklyn, maybe smoking cigarettes at the OTB Raider. I want to go back. 18 by 24 work on paper. I think there are a couple of these. So pretty cool kind of race car driver. Love the Mickey Mouse in the background there. Also some paint. So interesting topic here of just race car driver heads. You see how beautifully painted. Also acrylic oil stick on wood panel. And remember Lily Illo putting work on wood panel and you get all of that texture underneath. Very interesting. Here's Rune Christensen, who is with Kristen Hillardy and a few other galleries. Anecdotes and Keepsakes. A beautiful piece here. Nice, full, colorful painting. That's what's cool about the Kristen Hillardy gallery is they have a very aesthetic... I think that's part of the secret of their business, is a lot of the art is basically pretty... It's attractive, it's beautiful. You know, it draws your eye. I think these guys are with Kristen Hillardy too. You see what I'm talking about? Joachim Official, which is probably why I like them so much, right? Showing my own biases towards aesthetics. This is pretty cool. Jackie Joyner, Kersey. So I think... I remember Florence Griffiths Joyner. Not sure if... Maybe that was Jackie Joyner as a short name for her. Beautiful. Kind of an icon like Carl Lewis in the 80s. Ben Johnson. Kamido Art Center. This is out of Tokyo. So the same people that put on Hermeeps shows with some more cool kind of collage painting works. Polymerization. We've seen some of their work before. There's actually another artist I know, Alina Grabowski, with some cool works here. In Vienna, went to New York, from Berlin, went on a residency and landed in Vienna, interestingly, and the importance of the city. Vienna is an interesting option for artists because people sometimes can be in Berlin for a while and it doesn't really necessarily go anywhere. And you wonder if Alina made a decision. I need to ask her. After going to New York and things all of a sudden she had a show, things were happening for her and she thought, maybe I need to go somewhere else and landed in Vienna. Interesting choice. Bondoso Bandito. More beautiful physicals here. Violent Lullaby. So looking like taking the front of a book and just painting on it. This is, again, or maybe it's canvas, not sure. Maybe it's just a big canvas that looks like a book. So again, when you're working prolifically, you're not worrying about every little thing, and it's fine. It's fine. It's good that way. It's better that way. This is cool. Water It Well. Kristen Hillardy Gallery again. I didn't even know. So look how beautiful this is. So they have multiple galleries now. I think this is at the West Palm Beach, so in Florida. Very interesting. And here, Cheshmish Kahiki, an artist I followed for quite a while, I feel like years, on Instagram. Acrylic on canvas, 30 by 40. Let's see if we can get a decent picture here. And so really interesting, kind of surreal artwork here by this artist. Beautifully painted. And what else do we have? Stephen Schwartzer. A lot of my faves here in the physical art scene, contemporary art scene. And so big piece here. And as you see here, almost looking like colored pencils or something. Super interesting. Beautiful, great artist. Really solid. And here is Michael Pybus with some internet humor here. And again, contemporary, relevant, contemporary, and kind of just, again, another hugely prolific artist here. And here is someone I haven't seen before, G-O Anjeo. Maybe Spanish 40 by 30 acrylic. Let's see if we can get it. There you go. Pretty nice work of what looks like an image of a dog or two dogs barking. And that's your show, my friends, at 50 minutes. Thank you for joining me again. I'll see you on Friday. And I believe I'm going to double check my plane. I think I'm in an airport for the next space, so maybe on Wednesday's spaces. I'm going to double check everything now. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, take care.